So, my presentation is related to positive parenting. First of all, I'd like to give you an overview. What will be my presentation about? First of all, I'll talk a little bit about the historical context of positive parenting in the Republic of Moldova. Then, I'll focus on challenges we face and still do face related to positive parenting. I'll talk about the need to generate evidence and to do evidence-based advocacy in order to convince the government to do something, to intervene. So, using evidence-based advocacy, we have call for action, and after that, the government does some interventions and agrees that there is a need to do something about positive parenting. I think that the most important and most interesting part, at least for our adolescents sitting here, will be innovative digitalized mechanisms for engaging youth. But before that, I know that vast majority of us sitting here are parents or future parents. We have future parents as well. So, what do we mean by positive parenting? What does this mean for us? What is positive parenting?
Воспитание с мотивацией, то есть когда ты поддерживаешь ребенка в его развитии, поддерживаешь его мотивацию и таким образом влияешь на его развитие.
Спасибо. Positive parenting relates to parental behavior which respects children's best interests and children's rights, which are enshrined in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. You know perhaps that this year we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of this convention. And much more important is that this convention focuses on parents' needs and resources as well. You know that there is such a modern tendency among young parents in Europe, especially in Western Europe, to allow children to do whatever they want to do. Positive parenting is not permissive. Positive parenting sets specific boundaries which help children to grow and to develop at their full potential. And if we speak shortly, in a nutshell, positive parenting respects children's rights and raises children in a non-violent environment. This is the definition of positive parenting approved by the Council of Europe. And now back to the context of the Republic of Moldova. For the last 100 years, none of the Soviet leaders, and for the last 22 years of our independence, of our governments, nobody took care of positive parenting. But studies showed that positive parenting skills, attitudes, and practices are very poor in raising their children. And those studies were undertaken by UNISEF, by civil society, by other development partners, and very recently there was a study undertaken by the regional office on parenting for adolescents. So what do those studies prove? And why is necessary to have a strategy on positive parenting? Our studies in Moldova prove that one of the major issues is violence in families and violence in school. And our studies prove that 11% of women between 15 and 49 years of age believe that the husband is justified to beat her without any reason. So 13% of men believe the same. And which is the most important, if you see these graphs, educated women, 15 who have secondary education and 5 who have higher education, believe the same, that the husband is justified to beat them. So, parents, as you know, are role models for their children. How does this situation or violence situation used in families have an impact on children? Let's have a look. Again, research proves that 76 children among 2 and 14 years old are subject to violent discipline. 48% of children under 14 years of age were subject to physical punishment, meaning beating. And 69% of children of the same age were subject to psychological aggression, which is also very serious. Parents, this means that parents do not know how to educate their children using positive discipline methods. Another very important issue, which was as a red flag, let's say, in all our studies, was migration. Migration had a very negative impact both on parents and on children. And I want to tell you a real story about a girl, an adolescent, who was a classmate of my son. Natalitza was very beautiful. She was around 13 years old perhaps when she left her country, Moldova, for France. She was very beautiful, extremely beautiful, and she was very clever. She was the first in the class. When she moved to France, she started to learn very hard because she understands that she needs to learn. And here her problems began because there was an unofficial leader, a girl in that class, and she didn't like the fact that Natalitza was praised by the teachers because she was a very good pupil. And that unofficial leader convinced the whole class to boycott Natalitza, not to talk to her, and they were bullying her through SMS, internet, etc., etc. When I was in Paris, she sent me a message asking me very much to meet her. When I meet her, she told me her story. And my question was, Natalitza, why didn't you talk to your parents, to your mom, to your dad? And she told me, you know, my mom is in depression for the last 3 years. My father has 2 jobs. And as you said, he had no time for me, neither father nor mother. Hopefully, the end was a good one because she had 3 attempts to commit suicide. She was in such a situation, she couldn't talk to anyone, and she had 3 attempts to commit suicide. Finally, in 2 years, the situation calmed down, they became friends, etc., etc. And my question was, okay, what about your younger sister? Because her younger sister didn't speak fluent fluent French and English as Natalica did, and she was in the first class. And she started to laugh and said, when her younger sister went to the first grade, the teacher asked her something, and she responded in her bad French. And during the break, one of the boys started bullying her. And she approached him, fist fighted with him, kicked him down, and after that, she was approved by the whole class. Meaning migration has really a very bad impact both on parents and their children. Now, both studies, the one done by the regional office and our studies, prove that our parents lack communication skills on how to talk to their teens, to adolescents. So they cannot talk with their children about sexuality, drugs, alcohol use, etc., etc. Every third adolescent learned about pregnancy and contraception and sexually transmitted infections, not from their parents. They had it from internet and from their peers. 22 of young women and 45 of young men started to drink alcohol before the age of 15, being adolescents. 7.5% of adolescent girls between 15 and 19 years of age have already had a birth or were pregnant during the study. Adolescent birth rate is higher among poorest girls and those from rural areas. So, having all this information, UNICEF did lobby, did evidence-based advocacy, and convinced the government that there is a need to develop a cross-sectoral strategy on positive parenting covering children from from birth until 18 years of age. And we did it. So we had a cross-sectoral working group involving all nine ministries, including Ministry of Interior, which deals with children in conflict with law. We had State Chancellery, we had National Council for Protection of Children's Rights, we had civil society, we had academia, and the strategic directions of our strategy are development of parental skills, legal guardians, caregivers of children, and development of parental skills for future parents. So, and the major goal of our strategy is to ensure an adequate family environment for all children to achieve their full potential and become responsible adults. It was very difficult. We had a lot of debates. We had a lot of consultations, but finally, our government and our parliament approved this strategy. It seems that this is the first strategy in the region. And follow-up, we started to develop the National Action Plan on Parenting. And here, we cooperated with UN Women and hired an international action who mainstreamed gender into the National Action Plan. In Moldova, unfortunately, culturally, it is considered that only mothers should care about children. Therefore, in our National Action Plan, we have placed a special focus on engagement of fathers, starting from birth and including adolescents. So there are a lot of interventions. I don't think that if you are interested, you can approach me. I want to say that we did a lot of consultations in the Raion districts of the country, and I was surprised to hear that head of Department of Education in one Raion, while talking about violence, she said, okay, you can slap your child. I was slapped when I was a child. But she's the head of Education Department in the region. What message does she deliver to other teachers? So while developing this action plan, we of course We'll develop quality standards, job description, performance indicators, workload, etc., which is much more important for you to know. We budgeted this action plan because in order to be approved by the government and by the parliament, it should be budgeted, costed. We had a very good financial specialist and Minister of Finance, given to the fact that Moldova is the poorest country in Europe, returned back 3 times the costing part, just adding some additional, I don't know what. And in this budgeting of ours, we have indicated even sources of funding, national budget, local budget, and we have 2 columns, one for covering national and local budget, and the other column which should be covered by donors, developmental partners, etc. For a period of 1 week, we had 2 governments in place. The old government didn't want to go. The new government started to act, but not really in place. So now we are pending the approval of the National Action Plan, and I do hope very much that once this transition period is over, we'll be able to approve the action plan as well. And given again that Moldova is a poor country, we don't want to create new profession. We want to institutionalize this action plan in existing systems, in protection, education, health, etc. This is coordination, implementing, monitoring, and reporting. Ministry of Education was identified as a lead agency for coordinating all these activities. Other line ministries are responsible for the implementation of activities related to Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Education, etc., and they are responsible, they are monitoring also rayon councils and LPAs. The oversight of all these activities are done by National Council for Protection of Children's Rights and Rayon Council for Protection of Children's Rights, who report to State Chancellor. Once per year, every minister reports to the Minister of Education, and Minister of Education accordingly report to the Prime Minister. And this is the most interesting part, but as far as I understood, I will present it in the second panel. So, can I do it now? Okay. So, which are the mechanisms by which we try to reach youth and to involve youth in the implementation of the strategy plan, etc., and to find out which are the problems they face, which are the problems they cannot talk to their parents, they cannot talk to their peers, they cannot talk to their teachers. And we have 2 such platforms. We have EU Report and EU Partners Report, EU Partners platform. So, EU Report platform is a free messaging tool for community participation designed to address youth issues that young people care about. Real-time answers are collected through Fiber, Facebook, and the results are mapped and then shared back on the web page. And here I have just given an example. Remember your childhood? Did you often have fun with your parents or those who grew you up? Did you sing, dance, joke together? Because this is stimulation. This is how parents stimulate their children. And it's very interesting because you have see here the statistics. If you click on regions, you can see what is the number of children that responded from a specific district, what is the sex, male, female, and age, starting from 12 until 24. So the answer here is 62. Did play, etc. We did a poll on parenting, and here you see June 20, 12-19. And here you'll see how parents interact really with their parents. The question was, when do you have a problem, usually, who do you talk to first? Now, please note that this is in Romanian, and the translation was done by Google. There might be some mistakes in English. Who do you talk first? With a friend, 33%, with one of the parents, 36%, my brother. Nobody talks to a teacher when they have a problem. Nobody. It's zero. If you remember Natalita's case, when she was bullied, when she couldn't talk to her mother because she was depressed, she couldn't talk to her father because he didn't have time, she didn't talk to her teachers. What are the issues with which you feel comfortable talking to your parents? And you could confirm whether this is so or not. Discussing financial problems, 53%, they are comfortable. Sexual life, pregnancy, 4% of adolescents only can talk to their parents. Relations, 6%, future career, 20%, harassment, this is bullying also. Only 1% of adolescents will tell their parents that they are harassed at school, and this is very serious. And now, talking about violence, future parents. Once you become a parent, or you are already a parent, do you intend to use physical punishment as a method of raising a child? Females, yes, 3%, in some cases, 20%, this means 23%. Not 68%. Male, yes, 4%, in some cases, 33%, etc., etc. Where do you prefer to learn about sexual education? At school, 46%, with your parents, 20%, with my friends, 6%, etc. Do parents and families do enough to teach young people about sex, consent, and healthy relationships? Yes, 16%, relative, 42%, not 33%. So, and this is another platform which is related directly to U-Report. This is an interactive platform. Through U-Report, teenagers are informed that in 2 weeks we will have a session on, for example, HIV/AIDS or career development. And they send questions through U-Report. These questions are anonymous. And then, in a specific time, they have a live interaction with a professional who answer not only written questions, but answer also their questions which are submitted during the discussion. Before I came here, it was a poll on career orientation, and teenagers had the specialists in IT who received almost 100 questions. Meaning this is anonymous, but compared to U-Report, it's interactive. So I want to finalize my presentation with a quote from a participant, a teenager, who participated in the workshop when we nationalized our SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And he said, our generation is a global now, and we see ourselves as Earth citizens. Therefore, through our actions, we can contribute to the development of our local communities and to a world we all want to live in. Thank you.